This tutorial video is going to show you how to add an opening and closing image to your website. So on my website, this is what my opening image is, this kind of elevator buttons, and then my closing image is got an elevator door opening. As far as recommendations, as far as what picture you choose to have for your opening and closing, what you want to do is refer and allude back to the story. The fact that your character is in an elevator and going down the elevator and finally reaches the end and has to make a decision, right? So I would avoid having images that don't have anything specifically to do with that right now. I would encourage you to perhaps find like a elevator door or something that again refers to this character being in this elevator. And then as far as your closing image, maybe you have a picture of them like a floor of them walking out or open elevator doors like I have here. Either way, referencing those two or having those two images to have anchor your story will make sense in light of the whole story. Now, one thing that's important to recognize in terms of these images that you use is something called attribution. So in other projects that you might have been in, you just go online and you just Google search things and you just take images. That's actually incorrect in terms of how to use images. There's something called Creative Commons that tells you how images should be licensed. So you should start learning as you go into high school how to license and how to use images that are properly licensed. What you're going to be using today in order to find your images is you're going to be using Google Images. I think that's probably the easiest place to find licensable images. So for example, I'll go to Google Images and I will just go ahead and I just did elevator doors open free download. And so now I can find some pictures that I want to use, okay? In terms of like the ones that I used, I went to Google Images and I found this one. So I really like this one right here. There are several different ways that you can save your images. Number one, if you're using a Mac, if you two-finger click on it, you could do Save Image As, and then you can save your image to your downloads. Just pay attention to where it's saved to, okay? That's one way to do it. The other way is by doing a screenshot. So you do Command-Shift-4. Again, Command-Shift-4 will allow you to take a screenshot, and that screenshot gets saved to your desktop. The last way is that if you look at these images, sometimes they will actually have a download button. So those are three ways to find your images. So go ahead and find your opening and closing images and save them, okay? Once you've got them saved, the second thing that you're going to do is actually put them into your project. So how do you do that? So I'm going to go to my index.html, and what I'll want to do is I'll want to add my files over here. So this is where you're going to add your images. So I'll just go ahead and upload my file here. And the first one that I had, I think, was on my desktop. So let me get there. And so on my desktop, I've got this one right here. Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and open that. And you'll notice that that comes over on the left side. Please rename your images. Don't include something called screenshot, but I'm going to go ahead and rename them. Again, I click on those three dots. I click rename, and I'm just going to call them elevator buttons. Now, you might say, like, can I put a space in between? I just think it's always easiest to do this camel case style that we've talked about before, where it's lowercase on the first word and uppercase on every subsequent word. And when I click out of it, there, it saved it. If I click on it, it opens up the image right here as a tab. So I can open and close that tab, right? So now what I want to do is add my second image. So let me add my second image. And I think that one, again, was on the desktop. So let me see if I can find it. Something like elevator doors opened. So let me search for it. elevator open. Okay, so there's my second image, and it looks like I already saved that. You'll notice my files have two different image extensions, JPEG and .png. It really doesn't matter what files that you have. All right, so in order to add these files in, what I want to do is just pay attention to the name of the file. I'm going to go to my index.html, and you'll notice that right here is where's the code for the landing page. Well, you can go ahead and there's nothing here to add as far as the pictures are concerned. So let me go to my style.css. All right, it says CSS for all images. Okay, right here. This is should actually say CSS for all fonts. Okay. Oh, here's my intro section. Okay, so what I want to do is add my image name right here where it says insert image URL here. I'm just going to put it in quotes. I'm going to make sure that it's this one, elevator buttons, elevator buttons. If you misspell it or if you have a lowercase instead of an uppercase, it's not going to work. When I refresh my browser, sometimes it'll show up. Ideally, it should show up. But what you can do is click New Tab. And when you open up a new tab, what happened to my elevator buttons? Oh, I know what I did. I forgot to put .png. .png. There we go. That's the file that it's looking for. When I refresh it, there are my elevator buttons. Phew. And again, when I look at my new tab, this allows me to look at like my whole web page. So let me go ahead and refresh it. So you can literally make changes in your code and just keep refreshing your page and it'll show up. All right, so I've got my elevator buttons. And now let me just keep going down. Oh, this image credit thing we're going to get to in just a sec. I'm going to keep going down to try to find where is the code for the first floor. Well, I'm on floor 2, floor 1. Here we go. Insert image URL here. And what I'm going to do there is change that to elevator open.jpg. Now I did something that I'm going to change this to camel case. And let me go back to my style.css and change that just so I can practice what I preach. Elevator open.jpg. All right, let me refresh it in my web view. It looks like it's working for my intro. And then when I go down, it looks like now my closing one works as well. Now you'll notice you can change this height right here if that's not looking good. So for example, when I look at this page right here, I like how this fills up this whole page here. And then when I go down, if it doesn't fill up the whole page for you, if your image doesn't fill up the whole page, you can change this minimum height to something bigger or smaller, however you want it to look. And again, when you just refresh it, it'll show you what that new image will look like in terms of the size. Well, so like that just messed that up. So I'm going to change it back to 800 because that filled up that whole section there. All right. Now the last part. The last thing that I need you to do is to just credit your image. So when I went to my elevator buttons, it said this was copyright free. And so when I visit that page, I just look at the details of how they want me to reference it. It says, okay, photos are free for download. Okay. It is not necessary to indicate the author or source, but if you put your site a link to LibreShot, I'll be grateful. Okay, so he just wants me to copy this link to LibreShot, so Command C, and I'm going to go into my code here, and I'm going to credit it. Now to make a comment, remember, in HTML and CSS, making a comment is different than in Python. So you do this /*, that gets my comment. I'm going to put image taken from, and I'm going to do that. And now I need to close that by doing */. Oops, */, sorry. There we go. And so I've just credited this image right here. And now let me do that for my closing image as well. So my closing image, oh, it looks like I can put my image credit right here. Let me see how they wanted me to reference this one. Let's see. Oh, I lost the page, but it looks like I think I had it referenced from before. I'm gonna elevator's door open. Let me see if I can find it real quick here. If I can't, again, what you'll want to do is just click on the image, and I did free download. When you click on a given page, it might say the author's name, okay? It might say like, okay, so I can say like the author's name. I can include the link if I want to, okay? So I'm just gonna copy the author's name and I'm gonna paste that right here. So I'm gonna say image by, there you go. So now you have your opening and closing images. You have that referenced, and now you can move on to the next video where we're going to start addressing floor number 7.